So check this shit out. Here's this 305 out of the Trans Am. Tearing it down, taking the heads off. This head bolt right here, which is the second high mount bolt from the front on the passenger side, number 4 cylinder. This head bolt was loose when I started taking it apart. I mean, it was not threaded in at all. It's just like this. And I can't get the threads to start. They will not start. And the bottom of the bolt is polished, like it's been laying around loose in there probably since the car was new, and it's screwed up the starting thread on the end of the bolt. This bolt never got tightened when the engine was built. Howdy folks, today is the 16th of February 2025. It's the day after I discovered the broken bolt in the engine block on the 305 that came out of the Trans Am. As I was working on it yesterday, I realized that I was wasting my time working on a 305 and decided that I was not going to put this engine back in the car. So I got cleaned up, went back in the house and started looking on Marketplace for a small block 400 Chevrolet. And I thought, well, you know, if I put a 400 in it, then I can technically put some 6.6 liter stickers on the hood scoop. And I thought it would be pretty cool if I did that. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna look around. So I started looking and I found about 6 or 7 400s in my area. All of them, of course, were priced to the moon, except for one that was up in North Wilkesboro. And it came out of a 1973 Monte Carlo. It had been sitting out for about 20 years, but it was still freed up. And I bought the motor, complete engine, minus the intake manifold, for $300, which was a steal in my opinion. So I left here late this morning and drove up to North Wilkesboro and picked it up. And so I've got it in my shop now, tearing it down. It had some water in it, so I wanted to get it apart pretty quick so that it didn't sit around with water in it, but it does still turn, so it hasn't been in there very long. So, and I did measure the cylinder bore standard, so that was a score also. So I'm gonna close this video down and take another one of the engine. Okay, here it is. Pretty grungy. I don't think this engine has run probably in 40 or 45 years. It's been a long time because it still has, a lot of zinc and lead sediments inside this engine, which, as you know, came from old school gasoline and old school motor oil. So it's probably been a long time since this thing ran. This is an 817 casting. I don't have the oil pan off yet, so I don't know if it's 2 or 4 bolt main. I know the 817s can be either way. I suspect it's a 2 bolt main since it did come out of a Monte Carlo. And it was a California car because it had all of the smog equipment still on it. The pump and all the hoses and the air lines on the manifolds, all that stuff, which really surprised me. I don't know that I've ever seen an engine of this vintage that had all that equipment still on it. Pretty interesting. The cylinder heads that were on it are 882s. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm probably going to use these heads. But I think I am going to buy some flat top pistons to put in it. Probably not going to swap the connecting rods to the long rods. That's just going to add more unnecessary expense since, you know, I'm not going to be drag racing this thing. But you know, I want to bump the compression up and put a fairly mild performance cam in it. And I think it'll make 350 horsepower very easy and runs smooth. And so I think that'll be pretty neat in my 1984 Trans Am. Probably I'll end up changing the gear in the rear end, because right now it has a 373 in it, which, you know, is necessary if you want to feel like you're going fast with a 305. But once I get this 400 fixed, it's not going to need a 373. I've got a Z28 sitting out in the front yard that's junk, that has a 323 gear in it, and I may rob that gear out of that rear end and put it in the Trans Am. But I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm a long ways from that. This engine obviously is going to have to go to the machine shop and get hot tanked or baked or whatever they do these days. And I'm going to have it bored. So I'm very excited about my $300 400 small block. Thanks for watching.